up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Friday. It's been a wild week in terms of the National Football League and also the Philadelphia Eagles. All the Jalen Hurts MVP attacks that we've seen following the Micah Parsons comments earlier this week, well, they've gotten, I guess, even worse. Now, Chris Sims on his NBC Sports radio show, or I guess NBC Sports show in general, took his shot at Jalen Hurts. We'll look at that. We'll look at Nick Sirianni, potentially Coach of the Year. That seems very obvious. And the Brock Purdy 49ers, they looked good last night, but are we talking a little bit too high on a rookie quarterback? That's what's going on the show today. Let's go ahead and jump into the NJ.com article. Straight to the point here. How about this? Quote, no way Eagles Jalen Hurts is MVP, NFL analyst said. Now, before I read you this from Chris Sims, I don't hate Chris Sims. Chris Sims has some wild takes, but Chris Sims also understands what it takes to be, a national NFL talk radio or just, personality in general. Stephen A. Smith says crazy things. ESPN guys say crazy things all the time. Fox Sports guys say crazy things all the time. Cowherd, Nick Wright. I mean, it's just part of the business. And so ripping on a guy is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a little bit telling when you clearly are ripping on a guy to make a headline versus ripping on a guy to make an actual point. Because the argument he makes here for why Jalen Hurts should not be NFL MVP, and not just like, oh, he could be number 2. He says, no way he's NFL MVP. It's insane. Let's go ahead and read it. Quote, it's the best offensive line in football. It's the best defensive line in football. I feel like it's just setting up that the quarterbacks of the best teams are going to win MVP, and I want to go. There's no way he's more valuable to his team than Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, or Josh Allen. No way. Those teams are not the same teams if you don't have them at quarterback. If you put Gardner Minshew in the Eagles, they'd still be a really damn good team. I am sorry, end quote. Now, this kind of backpacks again off of what Parsons said a couple of days ago, saying that it's a system, it's the team around Jalen Hurts. There's a couple of thoughts here, right? First off, is it Jalen Hurts' fault he has the best defensive line and offensive line in football? Does Patrick Mahomes not have a good defense? Does Josh Allen not have a good defense? Does Joe Burrow not have a good defense? All those guys have pretty good offensive lines as well. Sure, they might not be number 1 like Philadelphia's, but it's not like Patrick Mahomes has the 25th ranked offensive line in the National Football League. Same goes for targets, right? We can say all we want about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. You're telling me that Juju Smith-Schuster and the receivers they have in Kansas City plus Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Travis Kelce aren't at least comparable? They're at least in the same stratosphere, right? Joe Burrow doesn't have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd? I mean, they're stacked at wide receiver. And Joe Mixon at running back? You got Josh Allen, has Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. He has a plethora of running backs who they don't run the ball very well with, but he does have them. This whole idea that because Hurts is on the best team in football means that all these other quarterbacks are way more valuable because their teams aren't as good. Last time I checked, Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen have the 3 best teams in the AFC, and it's really not even close. What even is this argument? Now, the bottom part here is the real kicker. Oh, put Gardner Minshew in, and the Eagles, they'd still be really damn good. Would they be 12-1 though? That's the real argument here. Now, I think you could take Gardner Minshew and put him in the current edition of the Philadelphia Eagles, and they would probably still be a 9 or 10 win football team. But the Jalen Hurts version is going to be a 13, 14, or 15 win football team. They might have one loss the entire year. Now, you could take Gardner Minshew, put him on the Kansas City Chiefs. They'd still be a 9, 10, or 11 win football team. And the same would go for the Bengals, and the same would go for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You could put Gardner Minshew on a lot of football teams, and they'd still be pretty darn good. Now, not as good as they would be with their superstar quarterback, but still pretty darn close. And finally, this whole idea that just because Jalen Hurts has all these new toys around him and this fantastic defense and A.J. Brown is the only reason why he's been so successful, that completely takes away from all the hard work Hurts has clearly put in. And if you just watched one Eagle game from last year and one Eagle game from this year, you would see a dramatic improvement on things that A.J. Brown is not even affecting, like ball accuracy or ball placement or decision making or not taking sacks or running when he should and throwing the football when he should not be running. When a lot of times you run the football last year instead of throwing the football. You're taking away from what Hurts has been able to do as a quarterback in terms of improvement, and it's absolutely, completely disrespectful. Plus, one more thing. You're telling me that all these additions from all these different, C.J. Gardner-Johnson and James Bradbury and A.J. Brown, they've added all these wins to Philadelphia. Okay, that might be true, but Jalen Hurts' football team last year, which was pretty similar, right? Same offensive line, kind of a similar defensive line. Sure, there were better additions this year, but a similar football team, they were 9-8, right? 9-8 last year. This team right now is 12-1. That's a 7-loss difference. You're telling me that all those additions, not because of Jalen Hurts' improvement, all of those additions have made the Eagles 7 losses better? Sure, I could give you, all the additions minus the improvement of Jalen Hurts would give them 3 or 4 more wins, maybe get them to 12 wins overall. We're talking about a 15-win football team that is not going to lose anywhere near 9 games. It's probably going to be maybe 2 the entire year. Quit with this whole idea that Jalen Hurts is not the NFL MVP. It could not be more clear. He 100% is, and if the season ended today, he would be voted the NFL MVP. And as long as he doesn't have some sort of catastrophic crumbling over the next 4 games, he will be your NFL MVP, and it should not really be close over Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. If you guys agree, just give the show a thumbs up. I just think, listen, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, they're all very good. I'm not saying that they're not, but the idea that there's no way Jalen Hurts deserves the NFL MVP, his team is too good. Oh my goodness, Jalen Hurts can win the Super Bowl this year because Jalen Hurts is playing so darn well, not just because his team has been so vastly improved, even though, yes, it has. Speaking of which, Micah Parsons, who started this whole charade, was asked again about it in a press conference. It is funny how much we're talking about Eagles-Cowboys 2 weeks before Eagles-Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys still have the Jaguars coming up, who looked really good last week. Here was Parsons backpedaling because he understands that there's a lot of good rat poison and a lot of good bulletin board material for the Eagle offensive line now after he ran his mouth to Von Miller. Quote, "I'm pretty sure they hate me." Talking about the Eagle fans. I mean, you got to stand on everything you say just as a man, but obviously they small clipped it and took one line of what was really talked about. But no pun intended, no disrespect to Hurts. I think he's doing great this year. But you know me. I'm a defensive guy. I said the Eagles' defense is the team to watch. They just got hella players over there, and they've been making plays all year. So from a defensive aspect, I know how offensive guys get all the credit. I just want to stick up to the defensive guys because the conversation was most valuable player. Is it just quarterback? And of course, he would want to say, I was just having a good conversation with Vaughn, a person I look up to, helping him on his podcast. And the next thing I know, it's a blank storm, Parsons said. You see how that goes. We were just talking football. No once did I ever disrespect Hurts or any other player in any way. We're just talking football. If football was a hurtful conversation, then what are we playing for? Goodness gracious. I think the job was more hurtful than the conversation, If we can't have opinions, you guys get to talk blank all day. Why can't we talk a little chatter? I don't understand what's so hurtful. We talk about each other. We're the players. We play every day. I think that they should have people should have opinions. This is funny. This is big defensive. This is like, oh my goodness, you're criticizing me. Don't criticize me for making a statement. No one's criticizing you. We're just critiquing your statement. That's what happens when you make a public statement. But you can come on this show and criticize me all you want. You guys in the comment section, I get tons of critiques. I do shows every single day. Tons of critiques down below. Thomas, you're wrong on this. Thomas, you're wrong on that. That's fine. That's what happens. I'm talking about it. You're talking about it. Why are we complaining here? But the idea that he was like not trying to disrespect Hurts and really was just talking about how great the Eagles defense was, go back and watch the show. I didn't just watch the clip. I watched part of that little segment, like 5-minute section there. It was not meant as, oh, their defense is playing so well. I wish we could give them credit. It was, hey guys, I don't think Hurts is that good. I think the offensive scheme and the players around him are the reason why he's done so well this year, not because he's actually a good player. It's Chris Sims' stuff. Control-C, Control-V. It's exactly what these two people are doing, and a lot of people are doing it out there. I saw Stephen A. Smith say Patrick Mahomes is the NFL MVP. And while all of this really doesn't matter, it just has to get you a little bit fired up because we understand the improvement Hurts has had. As Eagle fans, we watch every single second of every single game. Stephen A. Smith doesn't watch every single second of every single game. Chris Sims doesn't watch every single second of every single Eagle game. Micah Parsons doesn't watch every single Eagle game. And so to sit there and be like, oh, it's not Hurts, but you're not really watching the games like we are, it just takes it as a little disrespectful, and it's fun to at least critique it because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, hopefully we're done with the whole Hurts knocking nonsense, but it's a big story, and I think it's worth at least acknowledging, and you guys enjoy it. So if you like that, then be sure to subscribe for plenty more shows. Speaking of what actually matters this weekend, and that's Bears versus Eagles, with a full show tomorrow to get you guys ready for that one, so be sure to stay tuned for that. If you guys want to bet on that game, just the one little thing that I talk about that's not exactly football related here on the show. I try and move on and get you guys to all the latest stuff that's happening. But if you guys do want to bet on the game here, bet $5 on the Eagles, get $150 back if they win. You see it on your screen via the TFM website. Really appreciate those guys hosting this for me. And of course, DraftKings. All you do is go to the link down below, sign up for the very first time, register deposit. That's a $5+ money line bet on the Eagles next game, which is Sunday against the Bears. If they win, you get $150 in addition to your free bets, or $150 in free bets in addition to your winnings. Great opportunity. Check it out at DraftKings and the link down below. Okay, quickly here, Nick Sirianni, Coach of the Year. This is very obvious. Bleeding Green Nation has a great write-up here. Great picture from USA Today here on Nick Sirianni. See how pumped he is in the win over the Giants. Here it is from ESPN+. Quote, what's the current state of the NFL Coach of the Year ballot? It's from Dan Graziano. 1, Sirianni. 2, Dable. 3, McDaniel. 4, Kevin O'Connell. 5, Robert Saleh. Last time we did this, I had Mike Vrabel at the top, but the way the Titans have played since has seen him tumble out of the top 5. Sirianni's Eagles have met every challenge and stayed at the top of the league all year long. Dable and Saleh have elevated New York teams into contention. McDaniel, O'Connell energized offenses of Miami and Minnesota and elevated those teams into contention as well. I'm wondering whether Dan Campbell gets himself in the conversation if the Lions keep surging, or if Mike McDaniels turns out to or tumbles out, the Dolphins keep sliding. Jeremy Fowler says Sirianni, Ron Rivera, O'Connell, McDaniel, Dable, Saleh. And then he would go on to talk about how Rivera has been very, very good. But he ended in saying, in the end, Sirianni is outdistancing the crowd here. The Eagles impose their will every Sunday, no matter the opponent. It's a credit to the coaching staff, end quote. There are people out there who will try and tell you that Nick Sirianni is not worthy of NFL MVP because Gannon's defense is so good and Steichen's offense is so good. And what is Sirianni really doing? Oh my goodness. The same people who will criticize Nick Sirianni anytime Philadelphia struggles can't give Nick Sirianni praise every single time Nick Sirianni actually does well in terms of the Eagles playing well, right? You can't sit here and say, oh, the Eagles were bad last year, Nick Sirianni is the coach, it's his fault. While also saying, oh, the Eagles are really good this year, it's not really Nick Sirianni. Jalen Hurts has had a vast improvement on his year, and that's in my eye there, goodness. Nick Sirianni Jalen Hurts has improved a lot this year. And, oh, Jalen Hurts has done this and that. You just can't sit back and compare both of those things. Sirianni should be coach of the year. Really, Philadelphia should have the clean sweep, the triple crown, right? They should have executive of the year. That's non-negotiable. It will be Howie Roseman. They should have NFL MVP. To me, it's not negotiable, but to other people, idiots out there, it might be. And then, of course, it should be Nick Sirianni. They should win all three. If they don't, they should win two of the three, being executive of the year and I would say MVP. But to give executive of the year and MVP and not give Nick Sirianni, who is the coach of the Eagles, that sort of credit it's dumb. But, what do you expect? Dumb things happen all the time in the National Football League, and we can always talk about them here on the show. Let's wrap up here quickly by mentioning the Niners. Yesterday, I said something really stupid. I said I was more scared of the Dallas Cowboys than I was of the San Francisco 49ers. That has completely changed, and it shows you that I will at least own up to my mistakes when I say them. Okay. Here's my thought on the Niners, right? Their offense does not scare me as much. Now, last night, they had a couple of nice plays in terms of Brock Purdy. He didn't play terrible, didn't turn the football over, made some good throws. That's fine. But really, his two touchdowns were wide open to George Kittle both times. Like, wide open. And now, Seattle's defense, it's been up and down this year, but the idea that the 49er offense should scare you is just not factual. It's not a real thing. Now, they still are talented. They still have McCaffrey, good offensive line. They have decent receivers when Debo is back, and they have Kittle. Like, they're good. But a track meet with Philadelphia, you take the Eagle offense any day of the week. And the Niner defense is what really scares you here. This was really a 21-6 football game until basically the very end when Seattle was able to kind of squeak through a touchdown. And Seattle does have great weapons all over the place. Walker, 12 for 47. Metcalf had 7 for 55. Geno Smith, a pedestrian 48.8 or 48.4 quarterback rating. The Niner defense is what scares you right now. And I really think the NFC Championship game will be Philadelphia versus the 49ers. Now, honestly, if I were you, I'd be rooting heavily for the Niners to be the 2 seed, and here's why. If the Niners are the 2 seed, that means it's impossible for Philadelphia to play them until the NFC Championship game in Lincoln Financial Field, barring, the Eagles fall off a cliff over the next couple of weeks. But if the Niners are the 2 seed, then they get the highest winning seed in round 2. Meaning they have a much better chance of playing the 5 seed Dallas Cowboys if, for instance, the 6th or 7th seed in terms of the Giants or the Commanders were to win, right? So if the 7, 6, and 5 seed all win, right, in their opening rounds. Or let's just say that, the Niners win, Philadelphia wins, the 1 and 2 seeds win, and then you get the 6 seed wins, and you get the 5 seed to win. You would not play Dallas in the first round if you're Philadelphia. You'd play the 6 seed, which could be the Giants or the Seahawks or the Commanders, which is a much better matchup than the Cowboys coming to town. So I think the Niners are going to be the 2 seed. They're starting to run away with this thing, and that's good news for Philadelphia because eventually they will have to play, which we understand, but it could be the very last game before the Super Bowl, NFC Championship game, in Lincoln Financial Field, and I don't think Brock Purdy's going to be able to go ahead and outduel Jalen Hurts. I'd be very shocked by that. All right, plenty more stuff coming up here on the show. Tomorrow, we have a great thing going on in terms of Eagles versus Bears, full injury update, talking about if Dallas Goedert's going to play, look like he is. We'll update you guys on that one, and be sure to go ahead and subscribe and stay tuned for that. I'm on the road for the next couple of days, maybe over a week, so stay tuned with me for the backgrounds. They're going to change. You guys love the little flower picture behind me, whatever this is, plant picture. Not my normal studio. We're back there eventually. I'm Thomas Mott, though. See you guys.